Support for this podcast comes from St. Alphonsus Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Clinics, with physicians, physical therapists, and trainers who treat sports and performance-related injuries, with locations across the valley. More information on services and locations at stalphonsus.org/stayactive.
From Boundary to Bear Lake, Fremont to Payette, Oahe to Oneida, there are interesting people, places, and histories in all of Idaho's counties. And Idaho Matters wants to share it with you with stories from all 44 counties that make up the Gem State. Email your ideas to idahomatters@boisestate.edu or use the Talk to Us feature in our app, available on Apple and Android, and tune in each weekday at noon for Idaho Matters.
From Boise State Public Radio, this is The Connector. It's Idaho's Daily News. Good morning. I'm George Prentice. Today, we've got details on the third case of measles reported here in Idaho and how healthcare providers are preparing for a potential spread. We'll tell you about a new study showing that large livestock farms are polluting the air, including right here in Idaho. And state health officials have issued yet another health advisory for a body of water here in Idaho. It is Friday, the 22nd of August, and here we go with today's headlines. A third case of measles has been reported in Idaho, this time in Bonner County. Julie Lucata has more on how officials and healthcare providers are preparing for a potential spread.
Dr. Christine Hahn, head epidemiologist at the Department of Health and Welfare, says this latest case appears unconnected to the one reported last week in an unvaccinated child from neighboring Kootenai County.
We think there are probably cases out there that are not being tested and not being reported to us.
Measles is highly contagious and often not detected until the appearance of a rash, which can happen several days after the onset of mild symptoms. As students return to classrooms across the state, officials fear undiagnosed children in the early phase of the disease will accelerate circulation.
There are kids going to school, maybe they're on cancer treatment, maybe they have another immune compromised condition, so they can't be vaccinated. And we're worried about the measles spreading to those kids and to the teachers and the staff.
Hahn says the department is working with St. Luke's Health System to train school nurses to identify signs and symptoms of measles.
They're at the front lines there, right? They might have a kid show up and they come into school and even get sick during the day.
She says her team is also working with immunization programs to make sure they are well stocked in vaccines.
And should there be a surge in ordering, we'll be able to fill those orders.
Kids are more vulnerable to the disease but can't get vaccinated against it until they turn a year old. 20% of children with measles have to be hospitalized. Julie Lucata, Boise State Public Radio News.
Measles was considered eradicated from the U.S. in the year 2000. This year, so far, the Centers for Disease Control reported a total of 1,375 cases across the U.S. The National Interagency Fire Center in Boise has set the current preparedness level for the U.S. at a 4. That's 4 out of 5, meaning resources are heavily committed. And as fires are burning throughout the western U.S., there are now 11 wildfires burning in Idaho. This week, Idaho's top elected officials, in their capacity as the State Land Board, were briefed by Department of Lands Director Dustin Miller.
Big one that we're paying attention to is the rock fire. This is on Forest Service land and Forest Service protection. This is just west of Donley and south of Tamarack Resorts, 0% contained. They're doing the best they can to minimize fire activity on the resort property and certainly protecting structures and homes in the area.
And the rock fire has burned 2,800 acres 5 miles southwest of Donley. This morning, there are 850 firefighting personnel on the scene. State health officials have issued yet another health advisory for a body of water here in Idaho. This time, it is Eagle Bar in Hells Canyon Reservoir in Adams County. That's where tests have revealed high amounts of toxin-producing cyanobacteria, harmful to people and animals. The Department of Health and Welfare is urging the public to avoid any contact with the water. Now to McCall, where the region's hospital district this week approved $1.4 million to develop housing specifically for healthcare workers. The McCall Memorial Hospital District owns 5 acres of land, and that's where they want to build 38 homes to be completed in phases. The Star News reports that the $1.4 million will pay for the first 4 homes to hopefully solve what they say is a dilemma: hiring and keeping healthcare workers who are finding it difficult to secure an affordable place to live in McCall. A new study shows that large livestock farms are polluting the air across the U.S., including here in Idaho. As Caleb Radel reports, experts say the impacts are felt hardest by communities near those farms.
The study mapped more than 15,000 cattle and hog feeding operations, where livestock kick up dust and manure is stored in open-air lagoons. Researchers found tiny particle pollution linked to heart and lung problems was nearly 30% higher near cattle farms. Air pollution was also higher near hog farms. Hotspots were found in parts of Idaho, Arizona, and Utah. Sanaz Chamanara is the study's lead author. She says the most polluted communities have high percentages of residents without health insurance.
These are often Latino farm workers, rural communities without much political clout, people who just can't pack up and move when their air gets dirty.
But she says the findings do give affected communities the data they need to push for cleaner air and stronger public health protections. For the Mountain West News Bureau, I'm Caleb Radel.
And that is today's episode of The Connector. I'm George Prentice. We will see you back here on Monday. To stay in touch with the news between now and then, check out BoiseStatePublicRadio.org or download the free Boise State Public Radio app. And thanks for listening.